ladies and gents, welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, hit the bell notification, put it on all so you can get notified whenever new content drops on the channel. So yeah, without further ado, just going to speak on recent comments made by Iron Mike Tyson. Great fighter in his own right. He still holds a record as the youngest ever world heavyweight champion who unified the division, became undisputed. You know, he won the title at 20 years of age. So yeah, very special talent. And Iron Mike was recently interviewed by Eddie Hearn, I believe it was, and a lot of people have been cottoning on to a few words that Iron Mike said. Where he was talking about Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, of course, unified heavyweight champion of the world, and Tyson was literally was sort of commending this era of heavyweights, saying that this is a good era, and basically what's the effect of anybody who says this era of heavyweight boxing is not a good one is just basically, you know, talking nonsense more or less. And I get where he's coming from there, because at the end of the day, in boxing, the most you can hope for is an era where it's competitive. It's not just one guy running things, but there's multiple talented heavyweights, and this heavyweight era has been a lot like that. We've had Deontay Wilder reigning with the WBC title for a good few years. Got derailed by Tyson Fury. We've had Anthony Joshua, who's been unified champion for several years. He's had the one upset loss to Andy Ruiz, and there's been a lot of excitement in the heavyweight division. It's definitely a division where there's certainly a buzz to it, and it's very competitive. It's quite open in a way, where you've got sort of the two main guys, but none of them are invincible, none of them are untouchable. Fury and AJ have both been down at different points in their careers, so yeah, none of them are sort of invulnerable. And yeah, Tyson. So what he said is that Anthony Joshua telegraphs his punches, and he was saying that there's certain mistakes that he's got to correct. And he said that you can't be telegraphing your punches against a guy like Tyson Fury, who's like 6'7" tall, and as we know, he's actually 6'9", 6'9" tall. So yeah, he's definitely the tallest heavyweight about. And Tyson was just speaking about, you know, you can't be telegraphing your punches and making it obvious in front of a huge big man like Tyson Fury. So yeah, those are interesting comments. There's been a lot of responses to that, and I think Tyson is talking specifically from obviously his point of view, about not necessarily just that the punches themselves are obvious, because I think the way Anthony Joshua delivers his punches is good. It is very textbook. It is very tidy. You never really see Anthony Joshua swinging punches, or you never really see him coming wide with shots, or coming from way out here and winging punches in. He's always quite correct. It's always by the book the way he punches, and it's kind of how you would want your fighter to throw punches. Delivers very well and delivers very crisply. But I think he's talking about certain tells that boxers can have sometimes. Like a guy might, an obvious one I can think of is Leo Santa Cruz, who used to basically, he'd have his hands up like this, and then he'd go like this, and then throw the right hand, and he'd have that little tell to make you think they're gonna throw a punch when in fact they're not. And then when they draw you out, then they'll throw their punch. I criticized him for being quite robotic, and I think it's one of these things where what Tyson is doing here is thinking from his perspective, because Tyson was a come forward pressure fighter, but he wasn't just an outright bruiser. Tyson was a guy that he would brutalize you, but he'd come forward in a very intelligent way. And Tyson was very, very good at reading body language. I heard on a Hatman blog, he was talking about the fact Tyson said that he could even look at your torso, he could look at your chest, and he could tell what you're going to throw next, what punch you're going to throw next, or how you're going to move next. And he'd base his movements on that. So Tyson is a very good reader of body language, and as a former elite level heavyweight, he knows what he's looking at when he looks at fighters, and he knows where the flaws are. So he's got a very good eye for body language, and I reckon, I suppose, if he was coming up against Joshua, he'd be able to read him like that. And I think he's thinking from that perspective, like from what he can see and what he would do as a fighter. And yeah, obviously he's correct in some ways that Joshua does work to a particular pattern, and a guy like him that's really sharp would be able to pick up on it, pick up on movements he's doing, and then land his counters. And I think really and truly coming into, as we lead into the Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight, is going to be a case of, can Tyson Fury now exploit any flaws in Anthony Joshua, any of these telegraphed moves? And I think with Joshua, he's in his last fight with Pulev, I think it was a lot more, it wasn't a perfect performance, but it was kind of fluid. I don't really think he was sort of telegraphing moves so much in that fight. I can see in some earlier fights that obviously Tyson would have seen that, yes, some things are a bit telegraphed and you can read it, but again, it's with even when someone does telegraph punches, you've still got to be smart enough, and you've got to be sharp enough and quick enough to exploit those mistakes, to figure out, okay, this guy's telling he's going to throw that, so I'm going to throw that. And you've got to be kind of quick enough to exploit it. And I know someone with the speed of like a Mike Tyson, yeah, they would definitely be able to exploit it, because he had the attributes, quick head movement, is a bit smaller, and very, very fast footwork and everything. And it's interesting because a guy like Tyson Fury is completely different attributes to Mike Tyson. Is taller, longer, boxes at long range, so he wouldn't have the same attributes to do what a Mike Tyson would do. So yeah, I think it's good and well pointing out that. And yeah, you do see some telegraphing at certain times, but I think at the same time there will be certain things that in Tyson Fury where Anthony Joshua can exploit. And I think it's going to be a battle of that. It's going to be a battle of who can exploit whose flaws. Can Fury exploit the telegraphing of Joshua when and if he does it? Can Joshua improve himself enough, and can he exploit mistakes made by Tyson Fury? But yeah, it's again good observations by Mike Tyson, because I know he can definitely read fights very well. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight when it does happen. But yeah, let me know your thoughts about Tyson's comments. Do you agree that Anthony Joshua telegraphs his punches, or maybe you don't agree with him? Maybe you think, nah, he's wrong about that. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you think, and until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out. Catch you on the next one.